Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. In the past few years, telecoms giant MTN has had a number of confrontations with the Nigerian government, with one of those run-ins resulting in the imposition on the company of the largest corporate fine in the history of Nigeria, $5.2 billion. Just this week, the company has also had to pay 235 billion naira for infractions around the registration of SIM cards. And now, ahead of its flotation of shares on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, there are published reports of a massive manipulation of shares to jack up their value. Some of the shareholders are already making a killing from this. Has it become a case of one too many for MTN? For a closer look at all of this, we're now being joined by Rotimi Fakayejo, a capital market analyst. Rotimi Fakayejo, welcome to the morning show.
It's a pleasure.
Yes, I mean, MTN is, looks like MTN is in the eye of the storm again.
Yes.
You have the fine, the SIM registration fine, and then you have concerns about, the listing by introduction of its shares. What are the rules? What is it that MTN has done that is wrong, that the Securities Exchange Commission is proposing to investigate?
Well, basically, we need to look at it from the beginning, that there has been a lot of reluctance by MTN to get listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange for Nigerians to benefit from the shares of the company and the profit they've been making from Nigeria. Now, when it became compelling on them to get listed on the exchange, and I think the fastest route to that would be for them to do it by listing by introduction, which had happened. Now, the rule says for a company, they have listed on the premium board. The rule says for a company to get listed on the premium board, it must have a minimum capitalization of 200 billion. Then also, that same company must have a free float of shares, either 20% of the number of shares or 40 billion naira value. So which implies that ordinarily, on the day of listing, in order for this to happen, MTN ought to have put aside about a portion of 400 million shares to be sold to the investing public because the shares were listed at 90 naira. So on the day of listing, in order to make way for fairness and equity, and also for Nigerians to actually properly benefit from the listing, a portion of about 400 million shares ought to have been made available. Although now, the availability is an unwritten rule, which I believe MTN is exploiting. When Dangote Cement came to list by introduction, it made available on that day as many shares as investors were willing to buy. The next day also, it's also made the shares available. So as many people that wanted to be part of the company, they were able to come in. So the price moved up for a while and it stabilized. And everybody is happy. But in this case, it is not so. It is very far from that. Because when there are things like this, a lot of insinuations and conjectures begin to come in. And that is exactly what we are seeing right now.
Are there any penalties accruing to this kind of behavior, either civil or criminal? And will they be imposed on MTN, or will there be more political considerations? Because as Dr. Abati mentioned in his intro, there was that whole furore over the fine that was imposed on MTN by the federal government. The federal government was criticized as not being encouraging towards foreign investments and what have you. What is going to happen to caution MTN, if anything at all?
Well, I think for what we've seen so far, MTN got listed on Thursday. There have been 3 days of trading, and the shares of the company has appreciated by about 31.5% in those 3 days. Now, like I said earlier, there is no written rule that the shares must be made available on that day. But also at the same time, it is implied on them that 20% of the shares ought to be made available for any ready investor. Now, where investigations may hold sway is in the area of who are those that have been crossing the shares of MTNs from one party to the other, and what is their motive. Is the company, the listed company, MTN, is it complicit in this situation? Those are the things that Securities and Exchange will have to find out. And if they find them culpable, then definitely they they're going to impose sanctions.
Well, let me take you back.
Oh, okay. I just quickly wanted to know, what is the nature of the sanctions that they'll be?
Well, I think we've not had a situation like this before, and maybe it has not been foreseen. So if such sanctions are going to come up, they're going to be very new to the market.
Let me take you back to your earlier comments. I mean, interestingly, the story is in many papers today, and it's even on the front page of this day. This story quotes a source saying that, look, there is nothing that MTN has done that is unusual because Notore did a similar thing. And that listing by introduction, is perfectly in order. You cited the Dangote cement example. Okay. The story says what the Dangote cement did was offer for sale. For the benefit of those of us who are not stockbrokers, well, that's what the story says. Okay. What exactly is the distinction between this listing by introduction and offer for sale?
Offer for sale is a situation whereby the existing shares of the company, that is the not on issue shares right now, already allotted shares of the company are being offered for sale. And the proceeds go to the owners of the company. But when it is offer for subscription, the benefits and the proceeds go to the coffer of the company. So in offer for sale, the owner of the company, either you as a chairman or she as a director, can offer part of our own to the public. And when the proceeds come, it doesn't go to the company anymore. It goes directly to you.
Yeah, but I wanted you to interrogate that picture that I painted, relying on the story in this day today.
Yes. For Dangote Cement, it was solely owned by Dangote Industries Limited. So Dangote Industries Limited made available shares to the investing public on the day of listing by introduction. And the proceeds went to Dangote Industries Limited. Now, what would have been expected in this case is that MTN, whatever of Mauritius, that's the holding company in Nigeria, should have made available about 400 million shares, which is equivalent to 20 billion naira value, that will have been the float for that particular company. They should have made it available on that very day. Now, the shares that we are seeing right now being traded on the floor are the ones maybe that have been held by Stanbic, or so to say, and are now being properly transferred to those shareholders. But ordinarily, those allotments should have been made available and forwarded to CSCS prior to the day of listing. So what is happening right now shouldn't have been. The only shares that will have been traded for now will have been those made available by MTN itself as a company.
You spoke of an unwritten rule earlier. So what area of this field of market manipulation is actually codified, is actually documented, so that people can actually be brought to book? If it's unwritten, then how can they be penalized?
No, the aspect of the shares being made available is not written, but it is also expedient on the company to make available, to have a free float of 20% of their capitalization, or a value, 20% number of shares, or a value equal to 40 billion naira. Now, what the Securities and Exchange Commission may have to investigate is to seek to find out if MTN is actually targeting a particular price before they can come to the market for their public offer. And who are the people responsible for lifting the price of MTN, even when it is not being traded, when it is not available for new investors to actually partake in? Because if it's just circulating among existing shareholders, then you may say that there is manipulation. But if it is new investors that are actually say, I want to buy no matter what the price is, then there is no manipulation in that.
We're told that the application by MTN was first turned down by the Nigerian Stock Exchange Council, and then later reconsidered and accepted it without the authorization of the Securities and Exchange Commission. Is it, standard practice for the stock exchange to act on its own without reverting to the regulator?
That would be very, very difficult to have happened. I don't think that happened. But what we've seen in this situation is that the nominal value permitted for any company listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange is 50 kobo. Now, MTN came with a nominal value of 2 kobo. And the reason they have adduced to that is that if they had actually come with a nominal value of 50 kobo, then the price might have been as much as about 4,500 naira. I mean, 2,250 naira. So which implies that with the way it is, MTN ought not to have done that, because the shares that were listed should have been appropriated to comply with the normal procedures of listing on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Going back to the earlier statement, it is almost absolutely impossible for Nigerian Stock Exchange to act in defiance to the rules and regulation of Securities and Exchange Commission. It is almost absolutely impossible. I believe what is going to be investigated is the procedure, the processes that have taken place from Thursday to closing of trade on Friday, on Monday.
When is an IPO likely to be offered, and can you take us through the process when it does?
Well, the IPO is dependent on MTN and also they meeting the requirements and at the same time getting the approval by the Securities and Exchange Commission and Nigerian Stock Exchange. Now, there is no far-fetched process, because now they're already in the market. People already know them. So all they need to do is to go through the normal procedure. And by the time that happens, they go to the public, and depending on the level of subscription that is given to their shares. They've had a situation like this in Ghana. And I think in Ghana, they had about 34 or 43% subscription. And because of the way it ought to be, it was accepted. But I think in here, the minimum will have to be at least a little above 50% before it can be accepted for listing. So if they are coming for a public offer, we don't know what price they are targeting. If eventually the price they are targeting is above what was listed on the market, then it may be a clear case of manipulation that is driving towards that. But if it's about what we are seeing right now, then I believe they may not really be able to establish anything against them.
Well, I think MTN has even said that they will do the IPO in due course. But, in the light of all this controversy, as someone who is, a stakeholder in the industry, what kind of advice will you offer MTN?
Well, I think as at this time, there was the NSC is making frantic efforts to ensure that the investing publics are not misadvised concerning this situation, and at the same time that people don't misinterpret what is happening. The Nigerian Stock Exchange and Securities and Exchange Commission will not condone anything that would malign the integrity of the Nigerian capital market. That is established. For MTN, I believe the onus is now on them to create a level playing field for everybody. Let them make the shares available. Out of the over 15 or 17 billion that they have in their own name, let them make a portion of, say, 500 million shares available. Let investors buy, and let it thrive for a while, and let us see how the whole thing turn out to be. If that could even be part of what they may be targeting for their public offer, I believe they are not properly advised in this situation. Because even when they will be coming to do their public offer, I don't think they may be selling more than between 1 and 2 billion shares. So which definitely is a large sum of money. So ordinarily, they should have taken advantage of this start-off. On Thursday, when it was listed, they should have introduced about 500 million shares for people to buy. And when they buy, is the investors now that will nurture the price and see that their investment is profitable, vis-a-vis the auditor report that will be published by the companies thereafter to show their financial performance. So I believe strongly they should come to terms to reality. They should come to terms with reality almost immediately. Make available those shares and let it see how it runs. Because if any of their shareholders should take advantage of what it is, if the price gets to like 150, maybe by Friday or Thursday, and somebody out of the shareholders decide to drop on the market, they're going to see the share price coming back again, except they have a hand in it in order for them to be able to uplift and retain the price at a higher level.
Well, let me ask you a layman's question. You've been talking about, opening up the shares, for ordinary Nigerians to buy and all that. But when I look at the list of shareholders, there are many Nigerians there already. Who gains at the end of the day? Is it the ordinary man? Is there some kind of democratization, in the capital market? Is it about democracy? Who gains in the long run?
No, it's not.
That's why it's a layman's question.
Capitalism is not about democracy anyway. And I think the important thing is, if Arise Television, making profits, gets listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, when people buy, they partake of that profit by way of dividend. And over time, they recoup their investment.
Retail investors, right?
Yes, retail investors. So if they declare maybe dividend of 50 kobo and having put in about 5 naira, and over time, they are definitely going to get it back. And also in terms of capital appreciation. So I believe for Nigerians, is high time. Ordinarily, the law should have been there for these telcos that after 5 years of operation, the onus is on you to ensure that you get listed in order to create a broad base for Nigerians at least to increase in wealth. But that was lacking initially, and no amendment has been made to that up to date. So I believe strongly that the investing community were actually eager to have this happen, but eventually this is eluding them, and it's quite unfortunate.
Well, thank you very much, Rotimi Fakayejo, for this, instructive, education you've given us this morning, about MTN and the stock exchange and the politics, if I may say so, between the stock exchange and the Securities and Exchange Commission. Thank you very much.